Hey guys, welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to be doing another taste test. Today's taste test, this week's taste test, this video's taste test is going to be for none other than Mason Coile. I'm not really sure how to pronounce his last name. It looks like, and it reads like Coile to me. So that's what I'm going with. Anyway, I'm very excited for this taste test. We were going to try and do this in April, and I didn't have time. We read 9 books in April. I have time to add 2 more. That's the most books I've read in a month so far since starting this whole YouTube journey of mine. In this video, we're going to be reading 2 books to taste test Mason Coile. First book we have is called William. As you know, or maybe you don't, I started reading this, and this was going to be something I was going to put in my finish or unhaul it video, and I just never got to it. But I realized I had bought a second Mason Coile, and I was like, I could do a taste test just like I did with Rachel Harrison. So that's how we're going to wrap this one up. To be very honest with you, how much I actually read of this was a single page. Technically, that counts as starting a book, even if I didn't finish it. William. I have started this, so I'll talk to you about my thoughts in a little bit, but to basically give you the synopsis for William, we're following Henry, who is an engineer. After untold hours spent in his home lab, has achieved the breakthrough of his career. He's created an artificial intelligence consciousness. He calls the half-formed robot William. No one knows about William. Henry's agoraphobic. It keeps him inside of his house, and he fixates on this project to keep him entertained, basically, while he's always stuck at home. And he's been working on this project up in his attic, where he has basically secluded himself away from everyone, including his wife, Lily. But Lily's coworkers are going to show up for a little brunch situation, and they want to meet Henry and also to see their new house because they have a smart house. While they're there, Henry decides, I'm going to introduce them to William. This is something I've spent my whole life working on. Let's introduce them to this thing. And things go sideways. Soon, Henry and Lily discover the security upgrades intended to keep danger out of their house are even better at locking it in the house. This is a psychological horror. It's a cyber horror. And it sounds like something I've read before, if I'm being very honest. If not read, watched. There is something that I have been a part of this premise before from a horror perspective, where I think it was a new movie. It's a newer movie. I can't put my finger on it. It was a newer movie. I believe it was a bunch of like teenagers and they get locked in the house or something like that. And maybe that's not the full premise, but you get the idea. So I've watched a movie that's similar to this. I think Companion is a very similar kind of concept to this, in my opinion. AI, sentient being, and trouble. So I'm very excited for this. It's a shorty patorty, about 200 pages. So very excited to read this. I think if something's like 200 pages, technically considered like a novella, excited regardless to read this. And like I said, I have already started it, so I'll give y'all my thoughts in just a second. The second Mason Coile, I don't know, like I said, that we're going to read is Exiles, and this is a sci-fi horror. This one, we are following a human crew sent to prepare the first colony on Mars, and they arrive to find the new base half destroyed and only 3 robots. The 3 robots that were sent to set it up are in disarray. The machines have formed alliances, chosen their own names, and picked up some disturbing beliefs. Each must be interrogated, but one of them is missing. In this barren, hostile landscape where even machines have nightmares, the astronauts will need to examine all the stories, especially their own, to get to the truth. This sounds like so much fun. Again, this is a sci-fi psychological horror. I will be 100% honest with you guys. Both of these books I picked up because of the covers. These covers look so good. Now, I don't know who did the artwork for these. I don't know if it says. I'm gonna look. Jacket design was by William Stahl, and the jacket image they got from Shutterstock. And I think that might be the same for William as well. Yeah, the design overall was done by William Stahl. I think that's really, they're just both like very beautiful. You can't tell me these aren't beautiful. I'm so excited for both of these. So without jibber jabbering my jaw for 75 years, let's get into my thoughts of William thus far. All right, so we are currently on page 14 of 213 pages. So we have 200 pages left to read. I'm hoping to actually finish at least half of this tonight. It is currently 9:30. It's a Friday night. I don't got nothing going on tomorrow. Not a thing. So I have nothing but time to read both of these books. I'm very excited about it. For William, however, where we're at so far, again, I'm only 14 pages in, and basically what's happened is we've learned about Henry's agoraphobia. We've also learned that him and his wife have a strained relationship, and we're not really sure why that is. And he doesn't seem like he's sure why that is, which is suspicious to me. But also, she's pregnant. And there seems to be some kind of like feeling that she has about him. He tries to like caress her after waking up, and she's like literally runs away from him almost. And he's like, I wonder why she did that. Did she just pull away, or did I imagine things? And his inner dialogue is basically that over and over again, where he just keeps talking about how he feels like he's imagining her reactions, or that he's reading too much into her reactions, but then also like verifies that, yeah, no, I think that's exactly what's happening. So it's very interesting. It seems like there's some tension about the fact that he is an agoraphobic, which I think is interesting and very odd. But it sounds like he wants to try to get over his phobia, and she doesn't seem receptive of it. So I don't know if this is something that he's tried to do before, and she's like, yeah, I've heard it all before. But he's also talking about how he doesn't understand, like, if she ever love him, and if she did, what did she actually love about him, and that would she even remember if he asked her now why she originally fell in love with him and why she originally married him. So it seems very interesting. Their dynamic is off. It's so off, and I'm only on page 14, and you could tell that there's a lot of tension. So very interesting. There is like a little robot that shows up in the room while they're like having a conversation, and she like freaks out about it. She's like, what the heck? Why is that in here? And he's like, that's weird. But the way they describe the little robot person, I instantly pictured Billy from Saw. Because it's like a little dummy doll on a bicycle. And he's like, oh, it's a magician on a bike. And he's talking about how it like has a hat and rosy cheeks and its knees and like it's riding this bicycle. And I like immediately was like, oh, it's Billy. It's just Billy from Saw. So yeah, so far I'm enjoying it. It's a very quick and easy, like I'm already really into it. Again, only 14 pages in, but I've been like, I don't want to put this down yet. I'm so interested in what's happening. I did have an initial theory that like Henry was the AI and not William. So I'll be interested to see if that's a spoiler later or not. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how this goes. I think the like AI art that they put, like the AI person art, because he's like supposed to be an AI, like an actual AI. His like visage, right? I think that's what that's called. Is like, it's so creepy, dude. Like he looks so creepy. So anyway, I'm enjoying it so far. And yeah, I have like a rained in weekend. It's been raining here all day long. I worked this morning, got off work early. So grateful because this week has been terrible. The last 2 weeks were just, I can't wait for next week to start and it'd be a fresh month and somehow get my life together at work to where I'm more organized and back on top of everything, because the last 2 weeks have thrown me off so badly. But outside of work, things have been okay. Unfortunately, my husband's sick right now, so as you can probably hear from me, I've got a stopped up nose, only on one side though, which is very interesting. But he has a cold, and so thusly, I also have a cold. Thankfully, my daughter is not sick, so let's hopefully keep it that way. We just found out, unfortunately, that my sister-in-law's daughter, or my sister-in-law's sister's daughter, has hand, foot, and mouth, and we were hanging out with them on Sunday. So now I've got to keep an eye on my daughter for the rest of the weekend and hope that that doesn't come up for her. We've never had that, and I hope we never get it. But also she's been in daycare all week. So if she ends up having it, that's going to be really bad for everyone else. Thus far, no symptoms are showing up. They say the symptoms would show within 3 to 6 days of exposure. And she would have been exposed on Sunday. It's Friday, and I ain't seen a sniffle, a sneeze, a cough, or nothing. So I think we're okay. But yeah, outside of that, I've just been chilling. I took off this week from reading for quite a bit. I finished reading my Twisted Retreat books, and low-key, I was overreading after those 2 books. They took it out of me. Between work and then those 2 books not being very enjoyable, I was like, I need a break. So I took some time off in my headspace to just veg out, watch some movies, watch some TV shows, play games on my phone, whatever, watch YouTube videos. I do find that I don't get to watch as much YouTube anymore now that I'm super invested in reading. I try to watch YouTube during my work day, but I find that when I'm working, I have a hard time actually processing the information I'm hearing when I'm watching a video, or I get super distracted by the video and have to turn it off because I'm like, oh, I'm not working. This isn't good. I have to turn this off because it's too interesting. So yeah, this morning I finished filming the April wrap-up May TBR video, so you can watch that here if you want to watch it to see what else I'm going to be reading and doing this month. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all the updates I really have. I went through all the books that I've read over the last 3 months. I've just been piling them on a table in the corner of my office. And so I finally went through those today and pulled out the books I want to get rid of and the books that I want to keep. So glad to have done that. I am getting rid of quite a few books, to be very honest, especially some that were new, some that were from my Twisted Retreat book boxes. I didn't love them, and so I don't need to keep them. And that's kind of how I feel about it. If a book is mid, I'm not going to reread it. I'm never going to reread that. And I don't want to just keep a book for the sake of keeping books. I really only want to keep books that I actually loved and would potentially reread or would like to loan to other people. I do anticipate seeing if my sister-in-law or my best friend would be interested in any of the books that I have, if they would want to take any of them. Otherwise, I will take the stack of, I think it's 20 books to Half Price Books to get enough money to buy a book. I am interested in looking at Half Price Books for movies. I really want to go there and look at some used DVDs. We lose power here too often, and because we are in the country, we have really bad cell service. Thus, we end up having to watch movies on our PlayStation or Xbox to be able to have some sort of entertainment if we want it. And because my daughter is at the age that she is, sometimes I need a break. And so I will let her watch a movie so that mommy can have just a moment of decompression. But I only have one movie that is a kid's movie. I have The Nightmare Before Christmas, which technically some might say is not a kid's movie, but she loves that movie. That was her first movie that she ever watched and was just so zoned in. She loved it. So I have that on DVD, but that's the only movie I own that is something she likes. I stole Winnie the Pooh from my parents because they have it. So I stole that from them so that she could watch that here. But I need to get some kid movies that she would enjoy for when moments like that happen, in case there's ever okay, mommy needs a moment. Let me put this on for you to watch so that you can do that and I can do this. That's not very often, and most of the time when the power goes out, it's nighttime, so we don't have that issue, or it's while she's at daycare, so we don't have that issue. But there has been one time specifically where the power was out for a full day, and she wanted to watch a movie. She wanted to watch Winnie the Pooh, and she would not stop asking for it. So I borrowed it from my parents and let her watch it, and that got her over into bedtime, and then we put her to bed and everything was good. But I just want to go to Half Price Books and see if I can find any kids movies, because I don't own any. I own a lot of horror movies, but I don't own very many kid movies. So I want to do that. I also would love, if this weekend is as chill as I would hope that it will be, I would love to go to the movies. I really, really, really want to go see Project Hail Mary before it's out of theaters. I've heard amazing things about it, and I really want to watch it. I loved that book so much. It was one of my favorites that I read, and So I want to go see the movie. And I told my sister about it, and she wants to go see it too. So I might see how this weekend goes if she wants to go see that, and me and her can go watch that, potentially my husband if he's feeling up to it, and if he's not feeling up to it, just me and my sister, and he can watch the baby while we go do that. That's my plans for the weekend. Nothing too crazy. I want to stay cozy and comfy for most of it, but I do want to go to the movies. I haven't been to the movies in so long. I never went and saw Silent Hill. I never went and saw the 28 Bone Temples 28 years later. I never went and saw that, but I heard both of those were trash. Uh, so I know 28 Years Bone Temple is on, I think it's Netflix or Netflix, Hulu, HBO, one of those three. Because those are the streaming services I own. It's on one of those. So I think it's Netflix. So I can watch that. The Silent Hill movie I heard was like really atrociously bad. Like it was really atrociously bad. So I don't even know that I'm going to watch that. I was also looking at my list of books that I have been wanting to read, like my anticipateds, and I saw that Shy Girl was one of my horror books for the year. And I'm low-key sad that it's not, like, I can't get it even if I wanted to. The AI allegations have taken over that whole situation, and the publisher has canceled her book. I don't know if it's truly, like, the whole book was written by AI or not. She claims it wasn't. She claims it was an editor, but there's been, like, a lot of people who are editors who have come out and been like, that's not how that works. Not to say that that's not what someone did, though, right? Just because that's not how it typically works doesn't mean that's not what someone did. So I don't know. It's a very interesting situation and story. I was very interested in reading that one, but I also heard like it wasn't really good anyway. So womp womp. I'm trying to remember what other movies. I don't have my phone. I put it over there and my cat's asleep in my lap, so I don't want to get up. I know the Evil Dead movie is coming out this year, and I won't miss that in theaters. I will be seeing that in theaters. But I think there was another horror movie that had come out recently that everyone was like, oh my gosh about. So if there's an additional movie in the theaters outside of Project Hail Mary that's out right now that I would want to watch this weekend, I might do a double feature situation with my sister this weekend if she's interested. So we'll see. But anyway, if we do that, I'll take you along. If we don't do that, you're going to get a lot of montages of me sitting in random chairs in my house reading 2 books. So I'll come back with an update once I've read a lot more of William. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. What up, y'all? So, it's Sunday at 8 p.m. and I'm still not finished with William. I haven't even started Exile. And if you can't tell by the sound of my throat, I'm sick. I'm so over all of this. This book is really good, so let's start there. I am on page 168, so we have like 40 pages left until I'm done. I am really enjoying this. It's not really what I thought it was going to be, which is cool. I think that's really cool, and I think that's great, but in a good way. Like, it's a good thing. It's going well. Basically, based on the synopsis, up to the part where her coworkers come. That happens relatively quickly, but we learn some things in that time frame. There's something off about Lily and Henry's relationship. He's very like introspective about their relationship and overanalyzes like all the aspects of him and Lily's relationship, and to the point of like, was that a smile or was she upset? Like, he can't really like discern what her emotions are the way that he thinks that he can, it doesn't feel. There seems to potentially be something up with Lily and her friend, coworker, Davis, and there's like some weird something going on there. And then her other friend, Paige, who comes over, is like openly flirting with Henry in front of his wife, Lily, which feels weird and it feels odd. And I don't understand why she's doing that. But I also was like, you're not going to say nothing about this woman openly flirting with your husband? Also, this might be like a hot take, but I think the way that Henry acts in this book, he seems like someone who might be on the spectrum in the sense that he doesn't seem to register other people's like sarcasm or humor correctly, and he also doesn't respond to their sarcasm and humor correctly. He just seems to misjudge and not understand people's emotions fully. So I'm not sure. It doesn't say that anything about that for him, but he is like talked about, he's like socially awkward, and he's talked about like all of these things that just kind of lead me to lean in that direction. But he also does have agoraphobia, so he doesn't leave his house anymore. He used to, but now he doesn't. And again, I'm 160 something pages in and we still haven't learned why. So interested to see if we ever do learn why. He is very weird with his wife, and their relationship is very odd. Like I said, she is pregnant, and so there's something odd going on with the pregnancy side of things and Henry's response to it. But then his book's about William, right? And William he's an AI robot. And Henry has like this like kind of response to William of like being afraid of him, which is interesting because William's a robot, but also William can't like really move around. He's stuck in the attic of their house. And so it's like a very interesting situation. And we started to learn that maybe William knows things that he shouldn't know, and how does he know them? And they're not really understanding like how he's able to do some of the things he can do, and if it's him or if it's something else. And there seems to be like almost a paranormal aspect to the story as well. So a lot more than I anticipated for a short little novella, but I'm really enjoying it. It's going really well. In the beginning, I was highlighting up a storm. I will say that I feel like this is not to say that Frankenstein's not a horror, but it does feel like a horror version of Frankenstein in like a robot aspect, because we learn about William and we learn how he appears, like his appearance, and he's got like different skin tone patches of things, and his ears are like gigantic, like floppy saucers, and his face is grotesque, and his body is mismatched and uneven, and like he just doesn't look right. He doesn't look like a person. It kind of is giving me Frankenstein's monster vibes, honestly, because of the way that Henry interacts with William, but also the way that William interacts with Henry. It feels very like, you could say that this was inspired by Frankenstein, in my honest opinion. And I would be like, yeah, for sure. For sure, I can see that. Even the way that William talks to Henry and the like philosophical things that William says to Henry is just very like... Also, there's a thing at the very beginning where Henry gave William a bunch of books the night before, and he comes up to see him the morning that everything's happening, this whole book is set in, and he's like, thank you so much for the books, they were wonderful. And Henry's like, I gave you those yesterday. And he goes, yeah, and I read them all. And he was like, it took me a little longer than I expected. And then he asked William about if he had read one of the books. I'm sorry, William asked Henry if he had read one of the books, and Henry says no. And then William starts like quoting things from the book to him, and I'm like, bro, you're giving him books that you haven't even read yourself? That seems suspicious. If you're already suspicious of William in the first place, why would you give him access to things that could further his knowledge beyond your own? Like, it just seems like a silly, stupid thing to have done. So the rest of the story, there is a lot of like horrifying things that are happening. I think if you really don't like robots, or you don't like the idea of technology taking over, like this is a horrifying book. There is also some like minor body horror things. It's not anything super graphic at all, but there is some like body horror, death horror things that you find throughout the book. There's a scene with William and Henry that's very violent, and I was kind of like, whoa, caught me off guard. So there's a lot, there's so much packed into this book, which is crazy. I was like explaining a lot of the book to my husband as I've been reading it. And he's like, this sounds so interesting. And I was like, it is so interesting. It's so good. So I'm really liking it. I'm hoping that Exile goes as well. This has taken me so long, like I said, because I'm sick. I started getting sick Friday night. Saturday, I was like down for the count. And so that just was like not great. I did go to the movies. I did go see Project Hail Mary. Loved it. I was suspicious about Ryan Gosling playing Grace, but I think he did a good job as the like movie Grace. I still think that his character in the movie is not the same type of personality that you get of Grace in the book from Project Hail Mary. They're very different people, but like still kind of similar. The only gripe that I really had with the movie is that I felt like they didn't go into the science enough to where things made sense. Like there were things that they were having to just like straight up tell us the answer on screen because we didn't get the background. The movie was 2.5 hours long, so I'm sure that's why they could only leave so much in. I do think there were parts that they left in that I was like, why did we make this so long and rambly? And then other parts where I was like, we could have added a little bit, just like a little bit more, like 5 minutes more. I feel like the intro scenes of the movie also went really fast because in the book, when Grace is waking up, it does not like it happens over days. It doesn't happen one day. And like they made all of the like Grace waking up and like figuring out what's going on happen in like a few hours. So it was kind of odd to me, but it was really good. It was a really good movie overall. I loved Rocky. I loved getting to see Rocky and like the way that they created him. I did think that Rocky was smaller than I expected, but I was talking to my sister about it. She read the book right before we went to see the movie. And I was like, I feel like Rocky was bigger. And she was like, I went back and looked at it and he actually was supposed to be like the size of a medium-sized dog. She was like, so I think they made him a little bit smaller than that, but like, that's what it said. And I was like, I must have missed that part because I think I got like so sideswiped by the idea that Rocky looked like a spider in the book that I just must have missed all of that. But it was so good. It was really great. I really enjoyed it. It did not give me the same like heartfelt emotion as the book did. I did still like tear up here and there in the movie, but like the book, I was sobbing, y'all. I was absolutely sobbing for Project Hail Mary. So anyway, I did see it. I did enjoy it. I need to get a copy of Project Hail Mary and I need to potentially get a movie, the movie of Project Hail Mary. And then after the movie, like I said, I went down quickly and swiftly. I was so tired. I really hadn't done much of anything, but my body was like, you need to go to bed. So I went to bed pretty early last night, which means I didn't get to read much of the book, but I've been trying to make it up today. Hopefully I finish it soon. And then I'm probably going to have to do the audiobook for Exile because I think my next vlog is my Mother's Day vlog and I only have the week to read 2 to 3 books. So I wanted to get all of these done early so I had time to read all of those. So hoping to finish them soon. I've been a little more delayed this month in starting my reading than I normally would be at the beginning of the month, but being sick and my husband being sick and now I'm sick again, like it takes it out of you, man. So anyway, enough of all that. I'm going to go finish reading William. I'll come back once I'm done. I'm probably not going to come back until the morning. So I'll see y'all then. And hopefully I've also started Exile by then. So we'll see. And if we have, I'll tell you how I'm feeling about it and what I'm learning. All right, hello, update time. I did finally finish William. Okay, a few things. One, the ending, I had predicted in the beginning, but not as an actual prediction. I was just like, wouldn't that be funny if, and then it happens in the end. And I was like, dang, I'm prophetic. I just be knowing stuff. This book delivered, y'all. This was so good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think that if you are into sci-fi horror, fantasy horror, however you want to call this, I think that this is a great one. I really enjoyed it. I think that the explanation of things was also very like philosophical. Like there was a lot of commentary around like William's understanding of things and Henry's understanding of William's understandings and Lily's understandings of Henry's understandings and like everybody just trying to like mentally understand each other without asking questions, which is also kind of crazy, kind of a crazy thing to do, but I just think it was done so well. I still agree with my thought process on this being like Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster kind of idea. It just takes it to a different level. If you've read it, you know. This is a quick read too, guys. Like, I know it took me all freaking weekend to read it, but it is a quick read and I didn't want to put it down, but I have a child. So I don't really have a choice. If she tells me to put something down, I have to put it down. But this was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm super excited for the next book to read. I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. And you're probably thinking, Angel, you said it was so good. Why not 5? And because it's just not, I just don't feel it. There's something about it that just wasn't 5 exactly for me. I think it may have something to do with the final chapter of the book too. Y'all know how I don't like loose endings or like interpret this how you will endings, and it kind of has that in a way at the end, and I don't really appreciate that. And also there's some things that are like not really explained in the end that you just kind of have to use your own like judgment call and understanding to really see, to figure out what exactly happened there. But I enjoyed it so much. The reveals were so crazy. I didn't expect it. Except I did, but I didn't. But like, it was so good, y'all. I highly recommend it if you've never read William. I feel like this is just, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. Also, something I noted that I never noticed before, Mason Coile doesn't actually matter because it's not a real person. It's a pseudonym for Andrew Piper, who is an author of notably The Demonologist and Lost Girls. So this is like a pen name, basically. So it doesn't actually matter. I'm not mispronouncing anyone's actual name, which I appreciate. But I do like this, and it makes me wonder if I would like Andrew Piper's writing in general. The idea of a book called The Demonologist sounds really interesting to me too, so I might have to look into that at some point, but I did enjoy it. We are now moving along to Exiles. I have started this. I got like 5 pages in, nothing crazy, but it is interesting so far. It's kind of hard to follow some of the characters. I'm trying to like, there's a thing where like the dialogue doesn't say, and she said, or I said, and we said, like, it just is like, quote, next quote, next quote, next quote. And that's what Kane said. And it's like, oh, wait, so who said what? Like, it's kind of confusing to me a little bit by that. But otherwise, so far I'm enjoying it. Excited to get into it and figure out what the spacey situation is of this story. But I will come back a little later with an update. I am going to be listening to this on audio at some point today, but I do have to jump right now because I have to go to a meeting for work. But very excited for this. Very excited to see how this comes out. So far, so good. Are we going to be 2 for 2? That's what I'm trying to determine. So far, this taste testing thing is going really well. I know that's not going to be the case every time I do a taste test video for an author I've never read before, but it's going really good so far for the 2 that I've done. Anyway, I'm speaking prematurely. Let's actually read this. I'll come back with an update when I'm like somewhere around a 4th to a halfway through and let y'all know how I'm feeling. Hello, hello. It's me again. I'm back with an update on Exiles. It's not as exciting, I will say. I'm on chapter 27, so I'm like more than halfway through. So I made it to page 150 of 205 pages. So we have like 55 pages left to go. And this one's not as exciting. This is boring. I'm sorry to say. It's not as exciting as the other book, which makes me sad because I wish I had read this one first. I hate ending on a like womp womp kind of note. But to kind of like catch us up, the premise of the book, a human crew goes to be the first colony on Mars. So we're following Gold, Blake, and Kang, assuming that's all their last names. And the 3 of them are on a mission to Mars to be the first settlers to start a colony on Mars. They're going to be the first people to ever live and die on Mars. Gold talks about like how they had to go through like a rigorous process to be picked and like being picked over all these other people. We don't really know what that means exactly, and nor do we understand why she's picked or why the other 2 people are picked, but there's a bunch of people who aren't, basically. So we're here now. They are on their ship. They get to Mars. And when they get there, there's supposed to be robots to help them land their spacecraft. and the robots aren't communicating, they're not responding. So when they get to Mars, they notice that the place that they are supposed to be staying in, that the robots were supposed to have set up and assembled and all of that stuff for them, has like a giant hole in it, and they can't get inside, and they're running out of oxygen basically. Eventually they do get like inside, and there's 2 robots in there, Shay and what was the other robot's name? Wes. The robots aren't supposed to have names. They're supposed to be robot 1, 2, and 3. But they've named themselves, and that's like not normal, or it's typical, and they shouldn't have done that. But they've decided that they wanted names, and so they named themselves. And there's only 2 of the 3 robots on the what they're calling the Citadel. There's only 2 of the 3 that are supposed to be there, and they separate the robots to ask them questions of like what's going on, and they start telling them this kind of wild story about how they had to lock themselves in and they had to power themselves off for whatever reasons, and that they set an alarm to trigger them to wake up when someone knocked on the front door or something like that, which is the only reason why they unlocked the door, because they changed the codes to get in, so they couldn't even get into the space, which is why they were running out of oxygen. And there's like a weird story about whether or not the 3rd robot, who they call Alex, is doing all of the things and has created everything, or if maybe there's something else supernatural going on. And we start learning that the robots have like kind of some interesting feelings about things and are like trying to understand their place in the world, or their place on Mars. So yeah, it's been like an okay-ish situation. There was only like one real part of this that I like highlighted. I highlighted a death scene because the like description was crazy pants. But then there was also another scene that I highlighted where our main character Gold is like talking about her past life. She's talking about how her mom left her as a kid, and she was supposed to write some story in school about a false thing. She didn't make it false, she made it a true story, and told about a story about a mom who leaves her kid and her father. The kids were like, well, that's not believable because moms would never leave their kids unless they absolutely had to. And so it's not a believable story. And so she had to change the story to say that the dad left instead of the mom because no one believed the story, even though that's her actual story and her mom did abandon her and her father. So it's very interesting, but the way that she like talks about it, they said like moms only leave if they only have no choice. And she said, I thought you're scared. I thought you've wondered if your mother likes you or if she's faking. I thought you want to believe there are rules about what people will and won't do, but part of you knows there aren't. And I just thought that was so interesting. And I think it is interesting about children too, in a way that like they will believe the easiest thing or the most like common thing over something crazy. Like your mom would never leave you. Why would your mom leave you? Like that doesn't even make any sense. So I just thought that was like an interesting part of the story. But otherwise, like I said, I have 55 pages. So far, I don't know what's going on or what the like exciting plot thing is supposed to be for this one. I'm not as into this one as I was into William. I think William had more exciting moments and it had more interesting moments going on, and there were more like thought-provoking moments where you're trying to sort it out and figure it out at the same time that you're reading it. And I feel like this doesn't give me that. Like it just isn't giving the same level of intensity that William gave for in such a short story. This one's kind of like bland, to be honest, other than like death scenes. And so far we've only had one of those. So like it's just kind of like bland and not a lot is happening. And I think this is meant to be more of a like your imagination carrying away with you over it being about the actual horrors that are happening, and more about you thinking so far and like thinking yourself into being scared. So I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on it. I plan to finish this tonight, which will wrap us up. Oh no, I just lost my page. I plan to wrap this up tonight. I'm about to go lay down in bed. I'm still not feeling great, so you know, there's that. But I'm about to go lay down in bed, finish reading the last 55 pages, and then I will probably update y'all in the morning, which will wrap up this video. And we'll see after the ending of this, do I think Mason Coile or Andrew Piper are authors that I would want to continue reading from? I think that's kind of the premise that I want to go with for these taste tests, is to determine like, okay, I've read 2 books from this author, not necessarily like their best book or their worst books, just 2 books from this author that I sounded interesting from their premise, or if they only have 2 books to offer, and just determining like, would I continue to read from them, or do I think it's worth it? Do I think their writing style is something I'm interested in, or is it just more about, or if they're just like not an author that I'm that interested in for whatever reasons. Maybe I don't like their writing, maybe I don't like the things that they explore in their writing, maybe they don't explore enough in their writing. You know, there's different reasons why we don't like different things. I'm curious to see if I can find any more authors like Nat Cassidy, because I really like Nat Cassidy's writing. I like how much it like just centers you into the situation, and the way that like the way he does his books, it just really feels like the character that it's about is telling the story, and it feels like the like, not environment, but like the essence of the story and like spirit of the story really fits the character that you're reading about. I found that with When the Wolf Comes Home, that was like, I felt like that the way he wrote for that character just really fit that character's personality and that character's like mindset and all of that. And the same thing with Rest Stop. Like I felt the same way about Rest Stop. Like I just think that he has a very interesting way of writing. I thought the same thing about Mary, even though I'd never finished it, because I didn't actually like the way that that character thought or the way that that story was written, because the character was kind of like a little more of a dunce in a way, where she just like wasn't understanding what was going on around her, and everything was moving so slow and so slow paced because she was slow and slow paced. And so like the story was just like not there for me, and so I never finished Mary. But like it still leans to like, this is the type of author that he is, that his stories really feel like they're being told by the person and not just by him through a character, if that makes any sense. It might not. I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point. I'm gonna go finish my book. I'll see y'all in the morning with an update and some final thoughts. All right. I just finished the last chapter of Exile. I fell asleep last night reading, so finished it on camera for you guys, and this was not what I wanted. While it is impactful in some ways and it is horrifying in some ways, it was not what I was wanting. It was kind of underwhelming for me. It was kind of like, I don't know, it was just like not what I was expecting. I was expecting a lot more from this book, and I feel like I got a lot less. William gave me so much, like I had said before, and this gave me very little. And this is one of those things about judging a book by its cover. This cover is beautiful, but the contents are kind of boring and lackluster. I feel like if I hadn't had the audiobook to assist with this reading, I probably would have not finished this book. It was just very slow paced. It was like, things were happening, so don't get me wrong, like there is movement and things are happening, but it was just not as, I guess, just if I'm comparing it to William, because it's the only other thing I have to compare it to from this author, this was not the same. Like it didn't give the same haunting vibes throughout. It didn't give the same like suspense feeling. Like I feel like when I was reading William, I was constantly like suspended, always, like constantly just feeling like, oh my gosh, what now? What now? What now? What now? Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Where are we going with this? Like what's going on? Like constantly having this feeling of like terror, dread, you know, that kind of thing. And with this, I just kind of was like, okay, cool. And now we're going to go through some conversation and, oh, something interesting. And now we're going to follow some robots around. Like it just wasn't, it wasn't as like excitement constantly. I hope all of that makes sense. So yeah, I think I'm landing on like a 3.5 for this. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't as great. I really, 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 really loved William, and I barely liked Exiles. Now, I will say, some people might love this, and this might be everything for them. For me, it wasn't. For me, it was just kind of meh. So don't judge on whether you should read this or not, if on whether I liked it or not, I would say. If you like alien stories, if you like space stories, if you like alien horror, I think that this might be something that you enjoy. For me, it just wasn't giving enough of that constantly. So I wasn't feeling constantly like, oh, something is gonna happen. I don't know. Being in the house in William, I felt trapped. I also felt trapped with the characters. In this, I don't feel that same, like, that same hold. Like, it's just not there. I don't know how to explain it other than that. So, with that, that is the end of my Mason Coile taste test. I never learned how to say that name. I hope that y'all enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like. And if you're not subscribed, why not? That's really suspicious. You should subscribe. It's weird to sit here and watch my videos and not be subscribed. That's weird behavior. I'm just saying. So go ahead and subscribe. I'll wait. Thanks. And if you would like me to do another taste test for an author, please let me know. I would be happy to do them. I really enjoy this little series, reading like 1 or 2 books from an author to just kind of get an idea of who they are. I think is really fun and really exciting. So if you have any other authors that I may not have read yet, definitely leave them down in the comments below. If you're not sure, just leave them anyway. I'm happy to look into it. And I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.